We have here four distinguished gentlemen, plus the usual crew of the chair, and we'll be very happy to listen to Mohd Billah's presentation about petroleum trade financing, which is quite in the limelight since a full year. So I guess you will be bringing in solution as every time. So glad to be with you and to listen to you.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وأصلي وأسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. Good morning, Professor Pierre. Good morning, everybody in Paris and Spain. Good morning, Professor Celia. It is my honor today to introduce Professor Billah. Professor Billah joined us recently this year in our institute in Billah, Saudi Arabia. He is a professor of Islamic Economic Institute. He is the author of 26 books in the areas of finance, insurance, capital markets, business assets management, and e-commerce. He has about 91 articles in finance, banking, insurance, and businesses. He has successfully completed 9 funded research projects with the Malaysian government. He has presented more than 80 papers in conferences, seminars, and executive workshops. Among his research interests are Islamic finance, insurance, investment, capital markets, halal standard, and petroleum and trade finance. He has been advising several banks and financial institutions, NGOs, corporate industries, and government, including the central bank and financial issues corporate policies. He maintains 5 specialized blogs on the net, which which can be browsed through www.drmasumbillah.blogspot.com. Our topic today is petroleum trade financing, the Shari'ah postulate. I think what really distinguishes our meeting today is that the author, the presenter of the paper, is not really writing a research paper. He is a gentleman who works actually in the practice in this field, in barter trading, and he has established so many actual and practical experience in the field. And I think we will give him a very hard time today to ask him as much detailed and technical questions, so we can gain so much from such a person. As all of you know, that petroleum products among the most important products in the international world and in the trade business, whether we are talking in the upstreams, midstream, or downstreams, in ratios, Saudi Arabia, the Muslim world, the Middle East, among the highest in producing, reserving, and exporting the product. However, unfortunately, it has been observed that the trading, financing, and trade financing of such products are done in a conventional approach, not in an Islamic approach. Professor Billah today is actually suggesting an alternative, that such business can be done through Islamic contracts. This paper, this presentation, focuses upon presenting an alternative solution to the problem while financing petroleum trade, and with using different mechanisms and different approaches. I don't want to take much of Professor Billah time. I will give him the chance now to start. And now it is already 11:15. So we will give him half an hour. I will give him 45 minutes. After that, we will receive the comments and discussions. However, he informed me before we start coming here that he really encouraged all of you to, if you have any question, don't hesitate to ask, because he wants to improve the quality of the paper for a better research abroad. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim Abul Ola, and our friends, the other side, and audience. It's my great pleasure to be with you all this morning, and I believe that today's discussion is not just to teach you all, but I'm going to learn more from all of you, inshallah. I'm just going to deliver this lecture just to provoke everybody to come up with the appropriate issues and support the concern, suggestions, so that I can improve my paper, the actual paper of this particular title. And for information, I'm also in the halfway of completing 2 books on this particular issue. One is the petroleum trade, the Shariah Postulate. The other one is the petroleum financing, the Shariah standard. So these 2 books are in the halfway. So today's discussion and your suggestions will enhance and upgrade my humble research, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, the objective of this particular presentation of the research, as we know that we have enough solution in the petroleum industry, i.e. the documentation, instruments, under the conventional or modern practices, but why we need to propose another alternative, i.e. the Shariah Postulate? That's the prime question in ourselves. So now, my concern here that I'm going to submit at the end of my discussion that Shariah standard or Shariah Postulate, why we need the Shariah Postulate at this particular moment, because we have already the enough and adequate solution in the petroleum industry or petroleum financing or trading. Why you should need, and what are the, if we really submit and really conclude that we have the paradigm of Sharia petroleum financing, then what are the mechanisms, how we can apply this particular postulate or the model, and also what are the benefits. Now my further question here, that the Sharia postulate, is it meant for Muslims only? Unfortunately or fortunately, I have to submit here, the Sharia financing or Sharia mechanisms or Sharia this transaction today, it is concluded and witnessed by everybody that it is not for Muslim only. It is for everybody, regardless of one's religion, status, or the geographical areas, and so on. Therefore, to submit here that this particular model that I'm going to propose, it is not for Muslims only, but it's beneficial, added beneficial for Muslim and non-Muslim alike. So now I begin my discussion now. I have outlined a few points here. The facts and phenomena, the global survey, the present scenario that what we are having now. In order for me to justify the Sharia postulate, I have to make sure what is the background now, what is the background and experience that we have today. So in order for us to see what are the vacuum, what are the avenues that we can inject, or we can propose, we can impose, not impose, we can propose our Sharia solution, and it must be provided, must be justified that it has the added value, added benefit for everybody, not for Muslim only, but for everybody involving in the petroleum industry or petroleum sector. Now, the first is the phenomena, facts and phenomena, whereby I'm going to highlight the petroleum reserve, petroleum export, petroleum trade financing. Now, the concern issues, then followed by the Sharia model. I mean, whereby I'm going to highlight also the Sharia overview and also the proposed documentation, Billah steps, and instruments, risk management, and also I'm going to, once I discuss this particular two phenomena, I'm going to compare between the conventional, I mean, what is the present scenario, and what is the proposed Sharia model can provide some added benefit or the beneficial results. Then finally, I'm going to submit why we need, what are the justification. Again, I submit. Then the last but not least, I'm going to propose some recommendation in order for us to implement this or the benefit out of this particular Sharia postulate. There are 5 recommendations, i.e. the documentation, structure, the guidelines, and the mechanisms, and also some of the present phenomena that I'm going to discuss, among others, that last week there was an announcement by His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He has announced about $2 trillion mega funding. So now we see how, as we are the scholar environment, we see how whether this particular funding can inject or can participate in the petroleum industry to facilitate an added benefit, at the same time to provide a secure or sustainable benefit for the fund owner. So that issue also I'm going to discuss. Also, the last issue that I'm going to discuss also, that the sukuk, that the promising and the fastest growing area that we have today in the financial industry, and this sukuk can be adopted in the petroleum industry or petroleum sector, i.e. the petroleum trade financing or not, that I'm going to justify after this. Now the preview. To submit here that among the highest producers in the world of petroleum sector is the Muslim countries. Okay, like KS, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is producing per day about 9,735,000 barrels per day. But it was earlier, it was about 11,000 something, 11 million something barrels per day. So today is this is the position, which makes Saudi Arabia the second world ranking. Now, among the highest countries with reserve is also the Muslim countries, which is about 47.7% of the total petroleum reserve in the world. Among the highest exporter, I mean the Muslim world, among the highest exporter with about 43% of the total export of the world petroleum. So these are the 3 scenarios why I'm going to highlight. I have highlighted because of to show that actually, since we have that particular participation, contribution, control, leadership, but why we should not adopt the Sharia structure, despite the Sharia structure provide an added benefit. Now, the issue here, my concern here, despite having this phenomena or the experiences that we have today, do we have under Sharia standard or Sharia principles any deal or structure or model up to date? As regard to this upstream, there is no such Sharia structure as witnessed today. Midstream, no structure. Downstream, no structure. Financing, no structure. Trading, no. Trade financing, no. So in other words, in all aspects, what we have observed, zero. There is no Sharia structure, no Sharia model. Unfortunately, to share with you all that today, when I am now preparing this particular paper and this particular the research, unfortunately, there is no single book, no single paper or the article or presentation or even a newspaper cutting have been found which provide the Sharia model of petroleum trade or petroleum financing or petroleum trade financing per se. Excuse me. Now, global survey. I'm going to highlight here the petroleum producers, reserve and export trade financing. Now, according to the OPEC report and also the ExxonMobil and so on, I have put the references here. The 90 million barrels per day is produced, and the crude is produced about 90 million barrels per day in the world. Now, what is the position of Muslim world? In the top 10 producer in the world, the Saudi Arabia is number 1. In some another report, Saudi Arabia is number 2, and followed by Russia. Iran number 5, UAE number 7, Kuwait number 10. Now, among the top 10 countries of the world, the crude producer are responsible for the 60% of the total size of 90 million barrels per day. So imagine how the control within the Muslim world. Okay. Now, recent phenomena, an update. The Saudi Arabia, as you know, is not so related, but then I have to give it a supplementary. The recent phenomena, whereby in reference to the money.cnn.com, is published on March 21st, 2016, which provides that Saudi Arabia is planning, actually, not executed yet, is planning to purchase over, the Aramco is going to purchase over the Port Arthur refinery, the largest refinery of USA, which produced 600,000 barrels per day. So that's a great achievement that the Saudi Arabia is going to own and buy over, and therefore we can imagine that how the control of the Muslim world over the petroleum industry or the petroleum sector worldwide. Now, petroleum reserve. In reference to the Gulf business, the total OPEC reserve is 1.199.71 billion barrels. I mean the 1 trillion something barrels per total reserve. Now, the position of the Muslim world, the 66% of the total reserve are within Muslim countries. Muslim in the Middle East, basically. Okay. Now, among them, the Muslim world, among the top ranking, just to highlight here, Saudi Arabia number 2, in another report number 1. Okay. Iran number 4, and the figure is in front. I believe the paper is with you. Because of my time constraint, I can't go to the figure. Figures are in the paper. Now, Kuwait number 6, UAE number 7, and Libya number 9, Nigeria number 10. So now we can see how the controlling of the Muslim world. I'm repeating the controls, the control and the leadership of the Muslim world over the petroleum industry. But unfortunately, why we do not have the Shariah structure in any level, i.e. upstream, midstream, or the downstream level. So that's my concern. That's why I'm repeating the particular justification. Now, petroleum export. To nutshell here, that we have the oil, and the oil is the number 1 product in the world, export product, okay, number 1, and amounting to 7.8% of the oil export in the world, okay. Now, among these, this total export of the petroleum, just to nutshell here, that Middle East export 43% of the total petroleum, either crude, in the world. Okay, so the 43%. Now, Saudi Arabia number 1, the ranking. Russia followed by Russia. Then in terms of export, United Arab Emirates number 3. Then Iraq number 5. Nigeria number 6. Kuwait number 7. Iran number 12, and Oman number 14. Can you see how the ranking and how the position? Strong position is not only at the production level, at the reserve level, also at the export level. In all level, Muslims have the fullest control here, actually. Okay. Not fullest control. I have to correct my word. As a leading control, leading participation. Okay. Now, petroleum trade, a contemporary phenomena. I just give you some procedures, some documentation following the general procedure. I give because of this, so the procedures are related to the petroleum trade financing. Therefore, I need to highlight here a supplement. So now, like sellers and buyers, whereby because the sellers and buyers also affiliated with the banks. So that's how I'm going to relate to the trade financing. Okay, the trade financing, soft corporate offer along with the terms and the RWA, the NCNDA, IMFPA, then followed by the full corporate offer along with the POP, proof of products agreement, formalization, documentation package, charter party agreement for the CIF deal, loading and shipment schedule, BOL, bill of lading, and then the SGS at loading, notice of vessel, shipment till arrive of the CIF, and so on. All the documents are listed here. Okay, and the buyer also the same, but then of course buyer got different sets of documents. Okay. Now, as regards the petroleum trade financing, a contemporary phenomenon, just to nutshell here. That in the petroleum trade financing under the conventional economy or conventional arrangement, which involve basically the fixed interest or usury. Fixed interest and usury, and it is basically on debt-based arrangement. Now, here we have let's say sellers bank will correspond to the performance bond, correspondence, etc. And the buyers will have to provide the MT799, MT760, and then we have some other instrument BZ, LC, DLC, SBLC, RDLC, MT103, COD, LC outside, and also the SWIFT and so on. All those arrangements, the documentation involve the fixed interest and also a debt-based arrangement. I have given the illustration at the bottom of the page. Now, concern issues upon all the present scenario or the contemporary scenario that we have observed today. Now, my concern issues here that in all levels, I repeat again, all levels, the upstream, midstream, downstream, we Muslims have secured a prime platform, okay, in all levels, in terms of world ranking. Now, and also at the same time, simultaneously, I have to submit that Islamic finance is no longer, it was a religious component till 1993. From 1963 till 1993, it was somehow known as a religious component. But from 1993 till 2001, it was known as and appreciated with a mixed understanding, Muslim and non-Muslim also, that it is no longer a Islamic or the Shariah or the religious product. It is a system beneficial to all. Then after 2002, it has been known and appreciated not by Muslim only, but also non-Muslim alike, including the country who do not appreciate the Islam, or they are allergic to Islam, Russia, China, Japan, Hong Kong, Korea, USA, whatever countries in the world, they are appreciating the dimension of Islamic financial products and services as beneficial not for Muslim, but for non-Muslim also equally. That's how we can see the participation. I'm not going to highlight on the financial performance, but we can see that today the conventional, the performance, I mean the achievement, the growth rate in the conventional financial environment is about, some report 2.5%, some report 3.5%. It's mixed. Now, in the Islamic financial environment, the growth rate per annum is about 18% to 20%. Some report provide about 22%. So that's how the tremendous and the obvious achievement in the Islamic financial industry. It is not appreciated by Muslim only, but also appreciated, benefited by non-Muslim, not only in a sectorial or in a regional level, but it's also at the global level in all the generally. Now, next issue here that I'd like to highlight here, my concern here, despite having such a phenomenon in Islamic financial environment, and also we have the Sharia, the Muslim countries' participation, why we do not have any Sharia structure until now? What is the reason actually? Despite the Sharia products, the Islamic financial services provide an added benefit not only for everybody. We can see the scenario, statistics, and also dimension of sukuk market. Who are the participants? Who are benefiting out of this sukuk market? 68% from one report I have discovered are non-Muslim are benefiting and playing the role in the sukuk market. Okay, so now they appreciate. Okay, so next issue here now Islamic Sharia paradigm. Sharia paradigm. I'm so sorry, I have to go a bit rushing away because I have to really manage my timing. No, now petroleum trade financing, the Sharia postulate. This is just my suggestion as I have submitted earlier, and I have admitted that actually there is no such any document that I have received or I have witnessed or seen, so that I can put some better knowledge. But you must remember that when I am discussing this, I'm not an authority. I'm also a student. So what I'm discussing with you all, I'm sharing my humble idea so that all of you can give your scholarly views and thoughtful ideas which may help me to improve this particular ongoing research. And I'm not, in fact, it's not a teaching platform. I'm learning from you all actually. I believe we will end up with that particular objective, inshallah. Now, proposed documentation and the proposed Billah steps, proposed instrument, proposed risk management, comparison, submission, recommendation. Now, when I am proposing the Sharia model, a Sharia postulate, it does not mean the Sharia postulate, the Sharia model will reject per se the conventional or the existing phenomena of the petroleum arrangement. I'm not suggesting that. Now, alternatively, how we can adopt or we can benefit out of this Islamic, the Sharia model, there are three mechanisms that we can adopt. Number one, Sharia compliance. Sharia compliance, whatever existing documentations, procedures, instruments, mechanisms that we have, what we can do, we can just go through the screening process, whereby whatever is sensitive, whatever is not in line with the Sharia principles, we can just modify, reform, okay, so that we can adopt that existing documentation and procedure and the phenomena. Second mechanism here, Sharia standard. If we have the ability to come up with the Sharia alternative, exclusive Sharia alternative, why not? Okay. So now, third mechanism is harmonization. Harmonization here, I mean, based on the doctrine of Masalih al-Mursala, public interest, whereby what we can do, whatever we have, conventional mechanism model, we can just adapt, but we will harmonize by applying the principles of Masalih al-Mursala, whereby if any doctrine or any aspect or element or any component which are not in line with the Sharia principle, is just delete or modify or polish up. Okay, so that can be done. So that is another way that we can go easy way of Sharia compliance model of petroleum trade financing. Now again, I repeat here, the same documentation that I am in line with the Sharia compliance at this moment. Sharia standard, it is a long process issue actually. Okay, so now whatever we have, the modern practices, documentation, instruments, what we can do, we apply the three methodologies that I have mentioned just now, I share with you. So by applying the Sharia screening procedures. Okay. Now, next is the steps. We have many steps that we have. The first is the intention and also the soft corporate offer, full corporate offer, then the issuance of the instrument, you know, this POP, POF, etc., etc. There are 17 steps in the trade financing environment, 17 steps that we have to go through. I have provided here, everything is written there. So there are the steps that we have to, there is no contradiction with the Sharia principle. It's just the documentation and some of the mechanism there. Okay. Again, I have to really share with you. That's my humble understanding. When you talk about the conventional, it does not mean that the conventional shall be rejected 100%. That's wrong. That's very wrong. Because not necessarily that all conventional practices, conventional mechanisms, documentations are haram. Maybe some points which are not in line with the Sharia law or Sharia spirit, we polish up, we modify, we comply. Okay, so that's how the matter can be resolved. Okay, that is how we can have a good harmony and we can work together. We can work together, those who are modern practices, those who are Sharia practices, we can work together. Tolerance and wisdom, mutual cooperation are the most important pillars in Islamic financial growth in the world economy. Not just to give fatwa from one side and the other side is fighting, other side is just diminishing, other side criticizing with ego. No, that cannot be tolerated. That cannot be acceptable in the Islamic Sharia. In Islamic Sharia, we must use the hikmah. I'm sorry, I apologize to my other friends there. I have to recite a Quranic ayat. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Udu'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal mau'izatil hasana. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran mentioned advice and directed us to use the most perfect doctrine, that's called wisdom. Wisdom. So if we apply the wisdom, tolerance, rationalism, I think there is no any conflict or any clash or any crisis in our environment. Okay. Now, proposed instruments that I have already highlighted earlier, that these are the same instruments like bank guarantee, letter of credit, LC, RDLC, DLC, SBLC, MT103, MT760, etc., 799. So these are the documents or the instrument, the same instrument, the same procedure in the petroleum industry. What we need to do, we need to screen through that some portion which are not in line with the Sharia, we screen through, we comply with the Sharia principles. All right. So now, risk management. As we get to the credit risk, the trade financing, that I'm concerned about the credit risk management, what we have today. Now, alternatively, I can suggest here that we have enough Islamic insurance for products and services in the world. Now, in this trade financing, the petroleum trade financing, the Sharia standard or Sharia model of insurance, i.e. the Islamic insurance or the takaful can provide the risk management issue. Okay, so now in this regard, if in case we do not have, the deal is a very huge, with let's say the 2 trillion matter and all that, huge, we do not have enough capacity, syndicate also not enough, okay, cooperative insurance also not enough. What we can advise here, what it's the purpose here, we will have the cooperation with the giant insurance group, Lloyd's, Best Re, Swiss Re, etc., so that reinsurance coverage, whereby we can have some sort of understanding that any matter that we are involving this particular arrangement, that this particular arrangement shall be monitored by a group of Sharia board, Sharia scholar. They will just go through, if there is anything sensitive thing, they will screen through and monitor the Sharia alternative. So that can be resolved, and that is how the easy way we can go for the Sharia compliance risk management. Now the comparison. Here, the conventional, the present practices by the debt-based instrument with fixed interest and the risk transfer-based technique, markup over the purchased value of the product, and JV, joint venture, sometimes it happens, joint venture also, with securitization of the principal money that's been provided by the bank. Now, alternatively, that I'm proposing is a short-term loan-based instruments, the same thing, but based on the, with service charge, based on the doctrine of al-ju'ala and al-ujura. Okay, and risk management, in Islamic trade financing, it should be based on the risk sharing technique. Okay, and markup is allowed, conventional also allowed, markup is allowed, but by resale technique with deferred payment. That's the most easy one, and this is beneficial one, and that is based on the doctrine of al-murabaha. The sale by deferred payment. The last one is the partnership with the PLS and the profit and loss sharing or profit sharing. I'm going to highlight after this. Now I give an example here. The sample of a BZ that I have experienced in the few years actually when I was having a little bit affiliation in this petroleum industry. So BZ usually of a different type of BZ, but I just gave a sample here. Actually, I put here. The BZ is basically debt base. Okay, so now is a discounting. So now at the maturity date, it involves the riba and the interest. Okay. Alternatively, what we can suggest here that this particular arrangement can be by Sharia standard, whereby it shall be on asset base, and the petroleum is already an asset. Okay. Now, and based on the doctrine of al-ju'ala, al-ujra, or al-murabaha. It depends on the situation. But no synthetic asset or documentation. That is what today we are suffering in the Islamic financial industry. There is no asset, there is no product, but synthetic asset in the documentation, not allowed. That is not allowed. I have to submit here because of even we have some discussion going on. We have a group and all that. Synthetic is something like we are now betraying. We are now, I just, please forgive me, is the word, even some mention cheating, though it is not, or deceiving. There is not a proper word, but I have to mention like this. I apologize. So now, that is how the situation. In Islamic financial environment, there is no such synthetic asset or synthetic documentation based any transaction can be acceptable. That's my humble understanding and submission. Now, further submission, I have discussed already that now why we need the Sharia model or Sharia standard, because of Sharia model and Sharia standard is not for Muslim only, is for everybody, and this Sharia model of petroleum trade financing provide an added benefit for everybody. Now the recommendation. Okay. Now recommendation 1, whereby sample of documents that I have already highlighted repeatedly earlier. So these are the documents with Sharia compliance. Now second recommendation is the instrument that I have already highlighted, bank guarantee, LC, etc., RDS, and so on. I highlighted must be with Sharia compliance. Okay. I'm so sorry, this little bit technical interruption. Very good that you are working with it. Slide we are talking about 24. Slide 24. Okay. Apologies for the interruption. Now, recommendation 3. Recommendation 3 here is structure. Petroleum trade financing is structure under Sharia. There are 5 structures I am proposing here on the loan base, and based loan structure based on the al-ju'ala and al-ujra, and second structure al-murabaha, and then the third structure al-murabaha, with the modifying murabaha. Okay. Fourth structure al-musharaka, the fifth structure al-mudaraba. The translation I am going to provide after this for the Arabic term. Now the structure of whereby this loan-based structure, whereby the seller of the petroleum or the product seller, i.e. let's say Aramco, Gazprom, or Rosneft, okay, whatever petroleum supplier, so they will supply the product, or it could be from the bankri or from the another trading house, whatever it is. Okay. So now seller will sign a contract with the trading house or the first buyer. Okay, and this the sale and purchase contract. Now the buyer or the trading house will engage his or her own bank. Okay. So now what the bank is going to do, bank will provide the financing facilities on a debt base. Okay. Now this debt is going to be compensated not by fixed interest, but with the service charge. I mean based on the principles of doctrine of al-ju'ala or al-ujra. Okay. Similarly, the same structure will be applied with the end buyer. End buyer will have his own bank, and end buyer will have the same arrangement between the end buyer and the bank. Now the services provided by the bank for the service charge is provided given or the paid by the buyer or the end buyer or the trading house. There are 4 services here. First is the documentations and correspondence. Second, instruments, performance bonds, payment about 2% performance, the compulsory, and settlement of the contractual value. Okay. Now the second structure here is the al-murabaha, whereby the seller will have some correspondence with the trading house, they will have some arrangement. Now the seller will sign a sale and purchase contract with the bank. Now the bank will be the buyer of the product first, okay, and bank will resell to the trading house, okay, with a markup, okay, and the payment is going to be deferred basis, okay, based on the understanding in the agreement. The same case will happen with the end buyer and also the trading house, whereby the end buyer bank will also conclude the contract based on the same structure. Now the third structure is Murabaha. As we know that according to the Bloomberg on April 1, 2016, reported that Saudi Arabia plans 2 trillion mega fund for post-oil era announced by His Royal Highness is Mohammed bin Salman, the Deputy Crown Prince. For this particular fund, I am proposing the structure instead of this particular fund go to the pure debt base or the interest base. Okay, so it can go with very very lucrative advantage. Even I have a discussion with Dr. Ibrahim yesterday. I have the structure through this particular mechanism. Even 100% profit can be gained. 100% profit can be gained at investment return. So I'm not going to highlight that, just give the nutshell. While the mega fund is, let's say, trillion or the 2 trillion, whereby Murabah structure is suggested, okay, sale by deferred payment. Let's say Aramco is the GLC, okay, of the government. Now the government is going to be the financier, okay. Government is going to buy the product from Aramco with the flat price or the index price, okay. It depends on the situation, okay. So now the government is going to buy from the GLC, okay, now with a flat price, and government is going to resell to the refinery group, i.e. in China. Let's say, you know that the biggest refinery of Saudi, the Aramco products is in China. Let's say they will be very happy to buy over because they do not have to pay any cash. You understand that? So they will get this financing facility and they will pay back, they will purchase it, they will pay back by deferred arrangement. So now what the government can do, let's say that $80 per barrel, now buying the flat price, for example, mark up with another $5 because of the service, the markup, you know, this deferred payment, okay? So let's say this $5. Now the China group and the refinery group will be paying to the government the principal price, purchasing price plus the markup, okay, and the Murabah price, okay. Now in this particular situation, the government will have the benefit and the investment return, and if the deal is going through every 2 months, 3 months, you can see how multiply this kind of profit is coming to this particular fund, okay. Second issue here, that the government will have the advantage here that the Aramco will have the position to make the fastest or the first the supply. I mean that the ones that the buyer will have that financing opportunity or the facility, then the demand will be high. When the demand is high, the product will be going faster than the usual. Okay, so now that will also eventually will enrich the index. Okay, so these two advantages. Second and third advantage here, this particular refinery, the government is providing the funding facilities. This particular refinery and the buyer company is going to be used as a collateral against the payment. So now if in case there is a default, then the refinery is going to be subject to the auction to repay the government whatever financing they provided. Okay, this is the structure that I'm proposing here. So through this particular structure, there are two double advantages of the six advantages, basically two advantages. Number one, government will have the sustainable investment return. There is no risk. Sustainable investment return. Second issue, because mark up already. Second issue here, government will have the opportunity that our product is going to move faster than usual. Okay, because of the world market is going to be rushing for this particular opportunity. All right. Now, the fourth structure here is the Musharaka structure, whereby seller will the buyer, the bank will have some Musharaka arrangement. My time is very fast running. So the next structure is the Mudaraba structure. I'm not going to highlight too much. Maybe we can resolve during the question and answer. Now, as regard to this, my experience of this particular structure, core structure in 2009, when I have some arrangement between China, Hong Kong, and Gazprom in Russia. So during that time, we are thinking of establishing the trading house in Kuala Lumpur or in Singapore. Okay, that time I was communicating with the Rajihi Bank whether they can provide the financing facility. If they can provide the financing facility, then we can establish our trading house in Kuala Lumpur or in Singapore. Okay, so now it was somehow initially principally agreed, though it was not materialized because of some other technical issues, not materialized. So the same structure that I have proposed here, the loan base, Juhala or Al-Murabaha or Al-Musharaka or Al-Mudaraba, I have proposed this, this is the structure I have provided already, shared with you. Now, the sukuk, I go quickly, I have only 5 minutes, okay? Now, at upstream level, midstream level, and also downstream level, in all levels, there could be a very, very promising and very, very beneficial sukuk structure. I mean, this at the upstream level, I suggest here there could both two ways of sukuk, sovereign sukuk and also the corporate sukuk. People may think that how we can establish the formalized corporate sukuk with the government funding. No, that's wrong concept actually. The government funding, government can establish a GLC. It has its own GLC. Through the GLC, can establish the corporate sukuk. Okay. So now, and then the type of sukuk could be sukuk al-salam, sukuk al-musharaka, sukuk al-musharaka, and sukuk al-mudaraba. Now, structure of sukuk: investor, bank, SPV, and issuer. I will resolve this during the question answer because of my time is running. Now, midstream, we have the class of sukuk, again the sovereign sukuk and corporate sukuk, either one. Now, type of sukuk or the type of sukuk and instrument: sukuk al-istisna, sukuk al-musharaka, sukuk al-ijara, and sukuk al-mudaraba. Structure here: investor, bank, SPV, and issuer. Downstream level, bye. Please, you have any question, you can raise after this, no problem. Downstream also, there are two categories of sukuk can be issued. Sovereign sukuk and also the corporate sukuk. Types of instruments: sukuk al-ijara, sukuk al-musharaka, sukuk al-mudaraba, and murabaha. The structure: investor, bank, SPV, insurer. Now, recommendation, last but not least, here, my recommendation here, that in order for us to establish Sharia model of petroleum trade financing, we must go through the documentation and the procedure and the mechanism that I have listed here, about 5 documentation: guidelines, regulations, policies, standard, supervision. We don't want to be synthetic way anymore, because of, unfortunately, today we are growing very fast in Islamic financial industry, but how many legislation we have, how many guidelines we have, we can't survive based on only fatwa. You know, different countries give different fatwa. What we have, the legislation, the regulatory frameworks, guidelines, we must have that kind of. Now the Islamic financial industry should think seriously how we can come up with the standard guidelines, policies, legislations, regulations. Otherwise, it's very difficult to survive in the next few years actually. Now, second issue, the required documentation with Sharia compliance, as I highlighted earlier. Instrument is Sharia compliance, and also the Sharia structure, Sharia advisory body, also for each and every deal. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We still have 1 minute. Thank you very much, Professor Billah, for this nice presentation. Now I'm opening the presentation to all of you to contribute by asking questions, critiques, more ideas, so we can, promote or improve the quality of our research. We will start with Paris first, with Professor Pierre. I need a microphone. party that
Thank you very much, and thank you for that very professional and detailed account of financing of oil trade. I'm not sure I can contribute to any enhancement in the paper since I'm not qualified as Professor Masoum Billah is. My only question or advice, but then I will ask, of course, my friends here, is about the way the paper is introduced. Since the paper was introduced as a gentleman's view, and of course I do agree with the fact that Mohd Masoum Billah is a gentleman, therefore he's...
here we have difficulty
Okay.
understanding your comments. If you just give us 1 minute, our technician will try to improve it.
Okay. Is it any better now?
There is some kind of...
Is it better now? Do you understand me, or is the sound still bad?
It is very difficult to...
Or if I speak closer to the microphone, is it any better?
Close what?
No, it doesn't seem. Well, I'm sorry. So maybe we shall take questions from Madrid, and I'm going to send you written questions.
Maybe by the time our technician will come, you will very easy.
Okay. So we are having our questions prepared and ready in a short while.
Thank you very much. Very interesting and...
It is better than the Paris situation.
Okay, can you hear me fine?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for this very rich presentation. I have a couple of questions. Herman here is going to ask the first question.
Well, I have a couple of questions, very brief questions. One, to what extent is what is being proposed limited to screening already exists as opposed to substituting what is done on the conventional trade financing? And the second one is regarding structure 3, what part of that does not actually happen within conventional trade financing as it is at present?
Okay, then I also...
It is the same problem that how did the vibration, we cannot understand.
Okay, you cannot hear it. Okay.
We don't know what to do. We cannot really understand one single word of what you are saying. It is. If you allow us, we will start from here, from Jeddah, and hopefully by some time, maybe the dust outside, or maybe the heat, or whatever is causing the problem will alleviate a little bit. So, anybody here who would like to?
Ça n'était pas WhatsApp.
Can you hear us, brothers, in Professor Pierre? Can you hear us, Professor Pierre?
Okay, we try to disconnect and reconnect. Is it any better?
Is the connection clear now?
Yes?
We try to disconnect and reconnect, so I was asking whether it was any better now. Or, so...
According to our technician, the problem is from your side, and he cannot do anything about it here.
Bon, moi je vous ferai pas l'insulte de vous dire que c'est de votre faute, mais apparemment c'est de la nôtre.
Bon, alors les questions, on peut les envoyer par WhatsApp à Kalim.
Any of our viewers here would like to start saying some comments? Yes, please go ahead.
Step 2, one is simply clarification. One is when you mentioned the oil reserves, about which you have mentioned the position of Muslim countries, including Saudi Arabia. My question is that is simply clarification. Does this include the shale oil also, or only the fossil fuel? Because that has the implication. Because your model proposes that the profitability will increase because the price profitability depends a lot on the price that the product fetches. So far, the shale oil companies they could not compete with oil because oil has been cheap and they are not producing at the level which is economically viable. So the moment price will start rising, these shale companies their oil will become competitive too. So does this reserve includes the shale oil also or not?
I'll highlight after that. This is
Yeah,
clarification. I'm talking about LNG, LPG, oil. Generally. So I'll discuss detail.
Another. As you have mentioned that not all the existing models of financing also, they are not, haram or forbidden. Some feature of this could be retained. Some feature of this. At the same time, you are proposing an alternative model, right? My question is specific. Do you make a case that sometime down the line there will be a chance for a kind of synthesis between the existing model and the model that you are
Okay. If you write it down and send it over.
I have one question, 1A and 1B. 1A is that this petroleum trade financing, the Shariah postulate, how would it differ with rubber trade financing the Shariah postulate, or cotton trade financing the Shariah postulate? What's the part B? Is it necessary? Yani the cotton trade or the rubber trade is the same thing as the petroleum trade. So do you have that this particular model is applicable only if,
In other words, concern is, do you think that it
this
is
is
a commodity,
the general model?
applicable for the commodity trade?
Yeah, the commodity trade. Because all commodities are the same structure. And part B is that somehow these words, Murabaha and the Juala model and the Musharka model, they ring a bell in my ear. I have heard about them before.
Okay. Any more comments from Dr. Abdasi?
First of all, I congratulate Dr. Billah on this elaborate presentation. In my opinion, it has covered so long a topic that it was advisable to divide into two parts so that he could get enough time to concentrate. One, for example, one part may be that just petroleum trade and problems involved, so that we are clear about it. And then the next part might have been that how it can be done through Sharia investments. One thing just not clear to me, how Juala can be used for the petroleum financing. Juala, as we know that it is a very simple word that you ask someone to do a job for you, and if he has done it, you pay him. He could not done, somehow he will go unrewarded. You know, the petroleum product is involves so many investment, so much cost involved. Can someone will be ready to do all these things just at the expectation that if he succeeds, he will get some promised reward? Otherwise, he will go if he just empty hands.
have a question from Madrid.
Okay.
We have one from Paris.
Okay, so two questions from Pierre-Charles. The first one is about the introduction that presented Professor Billah's paper as a gentleman's view. For sure, someone must be a gentleman, and therefore his paper is a gentleman's view. But not any gentleman's view. It is an informed paper with a deep reflection on what is and practical proposals for moving to better practices. So why not call it a policy paper in order to highlight its practical orientation and highlight it as good emphasis on this paper as being interested in consequences and actions. Another small question is about the Shariah advisory board, because in a financial institution it is easy to state that a Shariah advisory board must be attached to the financial institution, but in the case of oil trade, what is the institutional structure that could or should carry or accommodate the Shariah advisory board? Is it a broker, another financial institution, etc.? So please, this is more about the organization of the petroleum oil trade, because we have no idea about this. Thank you.
There's one more question from Paris. Second question is, we have seen the link between the Islamic finance and petrol market is hard. And it seems that there is a risk for Islamic finance growth, as we have seen these last months. When petroleum market decreased, Islamic finance had slowed down. So is there a solution in order to make Islamic finance more independent regarding petrol? One more. Is there any study about the cost of the move from the current model of petroleum trading and models suggested based on Shariah? More globally, what are the incentives for the petroleum market actors to move from the risk transferring mechanism to risk transferring mechanism?
Risk sharing.
Should be risk sharing.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
My first question was taken over by Professor Mohd, that how does this differ from other types of trade financing, from other commodities financing? So I'm going to withdraw this question. Second thing is that, as Professor Shariah mentioned, that the Juala, it's not very clear how can that be used. And from what I understand from the slide, the model that you are proposing, it is just like a service charge on loan. You are suggesting that Juala be used as service charge on loan. If it is going to be used as a service charge for loan, then it is the same as riba. How are we differentiating it from the conventional financing? My third comment is, you mentioned that in the slide related to proposed risk management, and from what I understand, that risk management is one of the major problems in trade financing. And the topic is of your presentation is the Shari'ah postulate. You mentioned in the slide that in case Islamic insurance, reinsurance are unable to take 100% coverage against a defined risk, the conventional can take over as co-provider. So my question is that we don't have a solution there, an Islamic solution. If conventional insurance is going to if you are going to use the conventional insurance, then this part is not Sharia compliant. And from what I understand, that usually the Islamic insurance companies, they don't have this this much volume that they can take up this type of financing, risk management. Sorry. My last comment relates to another problem, general problem in trade financing is relating to hedging and hedging of pricing. That was not. I don't see any mention of that in the slides. Thank you.
Okay. Regarding the trading house or the trade houses, is there a mechanism? And what is the mechanism of trading houses? Is it like a place where sellers and buyers get together, or is it like an agency that charges fees, or is it like a middleman that buys the product, and if it buys it, does it buy actually and have it in their warehouses, or does it just buy it by like a receipt or something?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The first question here is for learned scholar. What we mean, we have the ExxonMobil, we have Shell, and others also. What we mean, I include everything generally. It could be body light and so on, everything. So what I mean here, LPG and LNG. So that included. So this is overall statistics. Second issue, the synthetic.
Not synthetic, synthesis.
Synthesis
Synthesis between your model and the existing.
This is possible. This is possible provided that covered by some of the slides that I mentioned. Synthesis is possible. But synthetic is quite
not synthetic.
Synthesis is possible because that's to harmonize. The three mechanisms that I mentioned is possible. Provided that the underlying the condition here that it should be compliance with the Sharia principles. Second, commodity trade and murabaha. Prof. Iqbal was questioning. It's not here. This it depends on the situation, but generally this particular procedure that I mentioned here is also facilitated the other type of commodities actually. But as you know, the petroleum trade is a little bit complicated, complex, and therefore the procedures are a little bit unique actually in nature. Therefore, what we can conclude here, the sum of the procedure can facilitate here to accommodate the other type of commodities. You understand that? So this is. As we get to the murabaha, Prof. Iqbal was raising the issue, the murabaha. Of course, we have been hearing about murabaha, modaraba, even before I was born. I didn't have to say like that. But then, these are the doctrine, that the prime or the principal doctrine that we facilitate the Islamic financial environment, engineering actually. Mentioned, but then other than that, we don't have any other alternative actually per se. That's the Sharia recognized doctrine. Now, Prof. Islahi's question about two parts, I truly agree that if it could be two parts, it could be better discussion and better analysis, but it is the comment has been taken into consideration in the future. As regard to the Ju'ala, even though it was in the traditional era, it was like if you lost something, okay, if you find my lost item, I will give you something. Reward. But now today, what happened in the Islamic financial environment, like what the fresh loan, for example, pure loan is given, okay, the car loan, etc., etc. Okay. Now, higher purchase, you're not talking about higher purchase, the fresh loan, personal loan. In personal loan, there is some service charge imposed because there should not be benevolent loan. I mean the qard hasana. Okay, it is impossible. Then how the bank can survive? So now, what the bank, the alternatively adopted the doctrine of al-ju'ala or al-ujra, service charge.
But this, the answer can resolve also Mr. Yahiya's question also. Now, here it is not resemblance to the riba. Why? Because of riba, whereby this rate is fixed. Rate is fixed that you have to, you take $1, you have to pay 1.5, 1.1. Then the fixed interest is imposed. But here in this situation, whereby I am providing the services, we don't talk about the money, providing the services, and this is the degree of services is provided, documentation, etc., etc., etc. As I mentioned, the 4 5 the types of services, and therefore the service charge is this amount of service charge. You want, take it. You don't want, forget about it. That's all. So that's mutual understanding. You know, I'm now engaging somebody. Please, can you take money from the bank? I will give you the transportation cost, etc. That's not riba. That is services vendor. Okay, I'm going to borrow some money from this particular bank. Okay, can you prepare the documentation for me? I'm going to pay the service charge, for example. And now bank is providing the services. If I do not provide the service charge, then how the bank is going to survive? Okay, so now this is not resemblance to riba. This is a service charge, is a service charge, and therefore from traditional doctrine to the modern doctrine in the financial environment, Joala is adopted and it is in practice and in many countries. Now, question number 4, service charge riba. Oh, this one is raised by Mr. Yahya. This I have resolved already this issue. Then the risk management, as regard to the risk management, that as we know that our Islamic insurance industry is very small actually worldwide. So a mega deal like 2 trillion and so on, this kind of deal is not possible for the Islamic insurance industry to provide the coverage. Therefore, my suggestion here, if the giant group like Lloyd's, let's say Basri, Swiss Re, they come up with the reinsurance coverage. In this particular, at this moment, consider Professor Ahmad Ibrahim, in Malaysia, the leading Islamic scholar, he was the instrumental guy of the promoting the Islamic financial industry. And he was in the steering committee in 1982, when the first Islamic banking industry supposed to be established at that time. So he was in the steering committee. He suggested once that actually we can't. There was a question that actually how we can affiliate with the Lloyd's and so on, right? Because of the Islamic industry. And he suggested that we are not prepared yet. So until and unless we are well prepared, we have to affiliate, we have to associate with them. That's called graduality. So now, whatever possible Lloyd's that we can screen through, what I mean that we cannot Islamize Lloyd's and Basri, Swiss Re. What we can do, we can suggest them that actually we are going to have facilities for me or cooperation with you, the coverage for me. What we can do, we can just request you, these are the guidelines, these are the conditions that if you can fulfill and can go through, just observe, that's fine. Okay, until and unless we have the reinsurance, of course we have the re-takaful company, but we do not have that capacity. If we have the giant group in the future, in next 50 years, of course we are well established, we do not have to rely on them. So that's for the necessity or the temporary effect only. Now, hedging, as regard to Mr. Yahiya's question, is a very, very good question. I haven't highlighted the hedging issue. Hedging issue is going to be highlighted in my paper. Probably I take your suggestion with appreciation, and I haven't thought seriously about it. But hedging will be, of course, this issue will be raised in the index issue actually. So probably I will try to elaborate and I take this matter. Trading house, as mentioned, trading house here is can be buyer or buyer seller, reseller, etc. Not necessarily agency house. Okay. Now, question from our learned scholars from the other side. Okay. First is screening. The screening mechanism here, as I mentioned, actually, there should be a Shariah board or Shariah expert who will just go through all the documentation, procedure, and all that. So see if there is anything contrary to the Sharia principle, they will delete it or they will modify, okay, modify to harmonize with the Sharia principle. That's all. They do not have to come up with the Sharia standard, etc. No need. So that's, I mean, the screening. So that's what we can do. We can work together, modern group and also the Sharia group, and we harmonize, we tolerate each other, so that at least we are fulfilling the objective of Sharia, that's maqasid al-Sharia. In structure 3 that mentioned, it is not, this particular announcement was last week by His Royal Highness, but it is not implemented yet. It is just a plan actually, but once it is implemented, this is just a proposed structure only. Okay, it's not an executive structure yet. Okay, hopefully if it is implemented and the plan is executed, probably this model can be further proposed with illustrative way. Now, second question, policy paper. Yes, I do agree, but let we complete our conceptual paper first. After conceptual, then structural. After structural, then we can go for the policy paper. Then that's how the gradually we can go with this particular mission. I truly appreciate the suggestion of the policy paper, and also the SSAB Sharia Advisory Body is not necessarily to be an agent or agency. It is a Sharia advisory body whereby there should be a memorandum and articles of association in the company itself, whereby the solution of the fatwa or ruling come from the idea of Sharia advisory body shall be binding. So there should be an understanding actually. Okay. Now, independence of Sharia, I do agree that there should be, once we have the implementation of the Sharia model, then there should be independence. I.e., that of course, definitely, if it is in Saudi Arabia, then we have to also comply with the local law and the policies. If it is in Russia, we have to also comply with the local law and policies. That's called the harmonization. Okay? We cannot go rigid way. We have to go very flexible way, harmonizing the local or the municipal or the country's respective laws and the policies and standard. At the same time, we also apply the Sharia moderate principles of the model. Right? So now, model of risk sharing. Okay, this it is quite clear, but this Islamic model what we propose here is not risk transferring at the expense of others, but it is risk sharing to share the benefit or the risk or the consequences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everybody. If you have more points to raise, or if you have more questions, or you have any comment, we will be very happy to hear you and to listen to your comment. If not, I will conclude the session with full thanks for everybody who participated today. And we are very sorry for this technical problems that did not allow us to hear you more clearly. Thank you very much for everybody. I'm waiting for you, either your comments or any contribution from your side.